Welcome, everybody. We'll be getting started in just a few minutes, but first off, thank you so much for joining us tonight for a short webinar from Dr. Connie Karosik from our fashion department. She's going to be sharing some really great information with you guys, and along the way, we will have some time for Q&A at the end of the session. So if you have questions for Dr. Karosik, feel free to add them to the chat box, and we'll be answering those at the end of the event. You can open up your chat box by clicking Control H or Alt H, and that will open up the chat box for you to send us those questions. So with that in mind, I will turn things over and we'll get started. So, my name is Emily Haggerty. I'm the Director of Admission here at Ursuline College, and I'm joined tonight by Dr. Connie Karosik. I'll turn it over to her to introduce herself and share a little bit about her background.
Good evening, everyone. I'm coming to you from my home. This is all new for all of us to be working face-to-face, and then I was face-to-face this semester, and then after Thanksgiving we went right to remote. So this is all new, and I'm happy to be with you. I wanted to tell you just a little bit about myself so that you would know who's running the program. I have a Bachelor of Science in Fashion Merchandising with a minor in Marketing, and I have a master's degree in Textiles with a minor in Art Appreciation, and my PhD is in American Studies, and my dissertation is about fashion in the decade of the 1960s, and I wrote about the Vietnam War and how fashion impacted that. When you think about it, in 1960, that decade, we had 4 American presidents, 4 assassinations, and every new event that was happened in the 1960s. So it was really a wonderful opportunity for me to get to select and write about the Vietnam War in that 1960s period. What have I done in my life? I took my degree because I couldn't go to some of the major fashion cities, and I live in Cleveland, Ohio. And Cleveland is one of those interesting places that they are rich with theater. So I took all of my education, and I wanted to certainly do costume design. There wasn't a program for fashion design when I got my degree. It was just fashion merchandising. But I took every design course that I could lay my hands on. And I wanted to be a theatrical designer. And the challenge for me was designing clothes for different shapes of actors. I absolutely love that. I didn't want to make one little black dress and make hundreds of thousands of them. I wanted the challenge of changing and fitting each actor. And then the career opportunities for anyone taking fashion merchandising and now fashion design are limitless. We have students here in Cleveland that don't want to leave Cleveland and would like to just work here in the city. We have a wonderful leather purse company, Bouch, and we sell those right in our department stores. We have students there. We have students who do their internships all over the country, and even as far away as Florida, and work for Disney in their theatrical designing costume shop as well. We have people who go to New York City too as well. And so the opportunities are limitless. It just depends on what you want to do. And I always say that when I talk to students, I ask them, what are you passionate about? And I try to get them to talk to me about what they're passionate about. Because when you know what you're passionate about, you will be able to find your purpose. And your purpose is where you want to take yourself. I also like to recommend that when you do select a major, that you always select a minor too as well. You don't ever want to be a one-trick pony. You need to have a variety of educational opportunities while you are studying. And that's what I think experience is all about. And that's a little bit about my background and how did I get to Ursuline. They came looking and shopping for me. I had 5 plays going at the same time, and they said, we need someone to run our merchandising and design program, and you know all about costuming and history of costume. You have to know that. And I said, okay, maybe I can work it in. And I did. And I didn't know I would be that kind of a teacher that really engages students. But I have grown, and I really love it. I really enjoy helping students find what their passion is and then their purpose. I hope that's helpful. And now I'd like to talk just a little bit about why Ursuline and the career opportunities. The career opportunities, we made a slide to show you, it's not just about making clothes or selling clothes. First of all, the fashion designer creates the clothes and creates the product. The merchandiser is the one who sells the clothes. And so you have to know how each industry works in order to be successful in either or both. And we made a little list for you, and you might say like, well, what can I be after I have an education in fashion design or merchandising? And always remember, whether you choose merchandising or design, you always want to choose a minor.
So it looks, or it sounds like we may have lost Dr. K connection-wise. We'll give it a minute to see if she is able to reconnect.
At Ursuline College, we try to emulate the industry. In other words, our assignments that we do, and we're going to show you some of the student projects that we do to emulate that. Ursuline is nationally ranked. We have wonderful experienced faculty. Our faculty has, in addition to their master's degree, also took advantage of the 3+1 opportunity for Ursuline. They all went on their junior year to FIT in New York City. Currently, FIT in New York City is currently experiencing what we're experiencing nationally. Everything at FIT now is remote, and their museum is temporarily closed until we get through COVID-19, which we will. But class sizes are small. You can knock on my door anytime without an appointment. You can find me. I'm there every day and on Saturdays, and you get one-on-one attention, which is wonderful. You get a very, very supportive environment from all of the areas that make up the college. You would have access to the Ursuline College Historic Costume Collection. We use the historic collection in our classrooms quite a bit. So it's hands-on. It's not stand behind the red velvet rope and just look. You get to turn them inside out, photograph them, sketch them, all of those things. And we have over 4,000 pieces, and it's all donated by the community. You get to participate in a yearly fashion show every year, even as a freshman, you're in the show. And you have 4 years to be in our professionally produced fashion show. This year, our fashion show will be virtual. Last year, we were already in production of our fashion show, and we had to leave the college very quickly on March the 18th due to COVID. And so we weren't able to do a virtual fashion show. But this year, we've got it ready. We've got it ready for you, and we're ready to go. And freshmen can also participate, as well as sophomore, juniors, and we feature senior collections. So it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful opportunity for you. And we do it New York style runway in our gymnasium. We have a very, very large crowd, and people come to see what you're making. Just a great opportunity. And if I could show you some of the student work, I'd like to do that. Students in the fashion department choose to spend their third year also at FIT in New York City. I spoke about that. Our faculty also has the associate's degree. You can come to Ursuline College for 4 years, and your third year you can get an associate's degree at FIT. And if you choose this track, it's applied apparel science, associate in applied science degree from the Fashion Institute of Technology. And upon you get this associate's degree, when you graduate, come back to the home institution who sponsors you. How do you get there? You really need to have at least a 3.0. You need a recommendation from me, and you really have to choose either fashion merchandising or design. You can't choose one and then go up there and change your mind. It's one or the other. We participate in merchandising and design. At FIT, you have to have a matching program at the home institution. One of the students said, gee, I'd like to learn how to make toys. They do have that at FIT. But we do not have a toy program here at Ursuline, but we do have merchandising and design. We're nationally recognized. Out of 100 schools, we rank about 14th from the top. And we have things like CAD, where you actually create things on the computer and you do mock-up boards. So once you leave me, you know how to do everything that's required out in the industry. And so I'd like to show you some of the student work in that. And oh yeah, this is great. Job outlook for fashion designers and merchandisers. And this shows you what the salary is and what it's anticipated. And the estimated salary of alum from this program is about $65,000. And I listed a few things for you to see. Some of our, oh gosh, we have so many alums and they're all different. But the Ralph Lauren Corporation, we have a Ralph Lauren outlet right here in Cleveland, and Express Inc., H&M, the Joann stores are great for internships, Nordstrom's, our house. Some of our design students are interested in doing furniture and interior design. You can also take your degree and do that as well, because we study fashion and we study color, we study everything that interior designers do as well. So we thought that it would be helpful for you to just kind of take a look at this statistic. And now I'd like to show you some of the student work. And these are projects that we have just completed. This is a class, basic class, that merchandising and designers both take. It's called History of Costume. As you look at the first one on the left, this is a 1930s reconstructed gown in half scale. And the source of inspiration was from our historical costume. And then if you take a look at the right-hand side, that is the back design that she did. The next one I want to show you is that it's a costume. The student brought in a photograph of an Elton John costume, and she said, may I make this? And she said, I think I'm leaning towards making theatrical costumes. And I said, show me the picture. She did. And this is what she created. And Elton John wore this in the 1980s. She even made a mock-up hat. Our half-scale mannequins do not have heads. So we've put it at the feet and we've put it on the shoulders just so that you could see the work. And then the next one is we also study from the history of costume from the Egyptians right up to the present day. On your extreme left is something from the 17th, late 17th and early 18th century. Students are given a head in white paper in pins only, and you have to give me a picture of what you're recreating. And this one on the left is the recreation of that. The one in the center is the 1940s with the pompadour front, all pulled back into a ponytail in the back. And that's what it looked like in the 1940s. This one right here on the right, the extreme right, the student wanted to create something very current. and she said that she wanted to build a platform underneath the paper. And I said, give it a shot. Show me what you want to do, and let's take a look at it. And so this is also an assignment that they do, and they do two of them. They do one ancient and one modern. Okay, next slide. I want to talk to you about this historic costume study collection. When I first came to Ursuline, I looked at the students and they looked like they were asleep. So I went to see my vice president of academic affairs, and I asked him, I said, your students are asleep, and I would like to ask you about an opportunity. I would like to create a study collection to wake them up. And he said, well, they're your students now, wake them up. And so I did. He said those 5 scary words. How much will that cost? I go, I don't know. It's a mystery. It'll either succeed or fail very quickly. And guess what? It succeeded. The community was more than happy to give me their favorite gowns and dresses so our students could take a look at them. And this collection is different because it's hands-on, not hands-off. So let's take a look at our first few pictures. This is a Molly Parnas, a boutique dress from New York City. And this is from the 1970s. As you look at it, you'll see it has kind of a crew neck with ruffles, 3/4 sleeve with ruffles. And if you look closely at the bodice, you can see that it has tiny pleats all the way across the top. And then the skirt is just kind of free flowing. And when you look at this, you can date this because of the prints that are on the actual gown itself. So it's about 1978, 1979. Molly Parnas, New York City. Next. This is Pauline Trégère. Your grandma would probably know, and your grandmother would probably remember Pauline Trégère. She was French, and she came to this country in World War II. This is the type of thing that she created. Jewel neckline, almost everything was sleeveless. And this gown is 100% silk and gold, and the little shamrocks that you see are green velvet. And this was a favorite dress of a donor here in Cleveland, and she loved the idea that students would get to see this, turn it inside out, see how it was made, and photograph it as well, and be inspired by it too as well. Next slide. This is a Chanel knockoff. A knockoff means that it was copied from the original. Kent State University, I did 2 degrees at Kent State, my BA and master's degree. Kent State has the original in their museum. And every time they show the original, they call me. They call me on the phone and say, will you send down the knockoff? We want to show the 2 gowns side by side. And the knockout has to be slightly different, and it is. And in the back of this gown, there is 1 bead, and it is black. It's very, very tiny. And so that's one way that we can get away with knocking this off. It looks almost identical to the one that Kent State has, except that the tie on the shoulder and at the drop waistline. This is 1925. Next. This is a beautiful dress. It came to us without a label, and you can see it's very short, so this would be from the 1960s. This is a 100% wool sheath dress with rabbit sleeves on the side. It's just beautiful, and we love it whether it has the label or not. We take many, many things that we think will enrich the education of our students. Next. This is, of course, Jacqueline Kennedy, 1960s-esque. This, everything during this whole decade, particularly when the First Lady, Jacqueline Kennedy, whatever she wore, everybody copied. And this was a silk brocade sheath underneath, and while we can't see it, the princess line down the front has hidden pockets in the front. And I show this to students because when you look at the coat, it's exquisitely made, and they don't make buttons like this anymore on anything that we purchase even today. These buttons are real high quality rhinestones, but they are absolutely beautiful. So this is 1960s. Next. I had to put this in. This is my absolute favorite dress of the collection. People say to me, what is your favorite? I go, it's like asking me who my favorite child is, but I do have a favorite. And this is the dress. This is the 1930s. This is 100% silk chiffon. And I want you to look at the center of the dress and at the waistline. These are 1/2 inch panels of chiffon sewn very closely together. And then as it comes down the dress, they spray out into this dress is almost 360 degrees circle if we laid it out flat. But it's absolutely beautiful. It does not have a zipper. Zippers were not invented here at this time, but it's so soft and so beautiful. And this is my favorite. And students look and say like, well, you mean they just had hook and eyes? I went, yeah. That's all they had was hook and eyes. The zipper was not invented until early 1950. Next. This is a Givenchy. This is a beautiful gown. These things are all worn by Cleveland women, and they are so gracious and generous to give these to us for their collection for the use of students to study and to look at how the dress was made inside and out. This is blue velvet in the center and 100% silk on the sleeves and the skirt. Next. This, of course, is June Cleaver, Leave It to Beaver. That's an old television show from the 1950s. This is called a shirtwaist dress, and it's very, very simple. It would have been worn with a large petticoat, and this would have just kind of flared out the skirt itself. Notice it's below the knee, and that would have been true of the dresses in the 50s. Has a little cap sleeve, and the collar is a Peter Pan collar, has a little velvet tie, and it's 100% cotton print, and I wanted you to see it. Next. This one is came to us from Saks Fifth Avenue. A donor purchased it from Saks Fifth Avenue, and she lost the label. But I did some research on this, and I found out through working with Saks Fifth Avenue here in Cleveland that this was a James Galanos designer dress. And James Galanos, of course, you know, made all the gowns and dresses for President Reagan's wife, Nancy Reagan. So to have this, it's just beautiful. It's a silk undergarment with a lace, dark blue, and it has rows and rows of beads at the drop waistline and at the hemline. This is 2 pieces. There's a skirt under there, and it's just absolutely exquisite. And James Galanos. James Galanos has just recently passed away, and he was a designer from California. And as a student, you learn all these things and you learn everything about designers. It will help you in retail, and it will also help you in design. Next. The annual fashion show. The annual fashion show is something that we are famous for. It's really put us on the map. This is the freshman textile class every year makes something out of 100% paper. This is a wedding gown made of 100% paper. You'll notice around the bodice, she made paper roses, and she used kind of a large leaf-like to cover up the skirt part of the gown. The veil, of course, is real. It's not paper, but this is one of our fashion shows. We do it New York style, runway, dark lights, camera, everything. So our students have the opportunity to learn to be an executive producer and also learn how to be a model and you can have your friends model your outfit as well, but you learn everything about production, and you always marry the outfit to the model. It has to be perfect on this model. Next.
Well, thank
Questions and answers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Kurosik, for sharing your wonderful insight into the program. You can just really tell that you're so passionate about your students and the work that you guys do. And at this point, we would like to open it up for some Q&A. So once again, if you want to send us a question, you can open up the chat box by clicking Alt-H, and that will open that. We did have a few questions that were sent in advance, so we'll get started with those.
Okay.
So Dr. Kurosik, do I need to bring my own sewing equipment?
You can bring it to campus if you're going to, be staying with us, you can. But our sewing equipment is state of the art. We have electronic machines, and we have electronic machine and a serger at each sewing station for you. We also have industrial machines, and we just have state of the art equipment. We feel you need to learn on the best equipment because that's what you'll be using when you go out there, if you choose the design route as well.
Well, and one less thing you have to pack into your dorm. The next question is, do I need a portfolio in order to apply?
You do not. In fact, we have a figures flats portfolio class that we have both majors take. It's a nice way of you getting ready to see what you need to take to an interview. And you can take it as a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, or a senior, however it fits into your program. And the portfolio is all about you, and it shows everyone your knowledge. And you can choose who you want to design for: men, women, children, infants, wedding gowns, whatever you like. And we will build it based upon that. You will sketch, you will learn to make flats. A flat is an example which goes to the production room, and then they make the clothes. You're the designer, you design the clothes, and then it goes to production. But you have to know what a flat needs, everything, so that once it leaves you, because you won't be there, when they make their first sample for you to see, you need to have all that information. And we teach it right at Ursuline College.
So the last question we have for tonight is, are there any student organizations that students can participate in?
Yes, Fashion has a group. It's called Fashion Focus, and I'm so proud of them right now. They decided for their project that they wanted to collect clothes for the homeless. And they said, can we do that? I go, absolutely. So we had a big clothing drive on campus, and we collected things for men, women, teens, and children. We received over 40 bags, and then the students, before they delivered it, separated it all out to make sure everything was clean and perfect, and it was, and then they delivered them to the shelters in Cleveland in the Ursuline van. And I have to tell you, that was just heartwarming. As we drove up, they knew we were coming, and they said, as we brought in the bags, gosh, we hope there'll be something in there that will fit me. And it was just sort of like velvet around your heart. And so I was really proud. And it gave people in our campus, everybody, an opportunity to donate to the Fashion Focus project.
That's amazing. Fantastic. So that's the end of our questions for tonight. I've pulled up a slide with both of our contact information. So if you do have questions that you'd like to send directly to Dr. Kurosik, or if you have questions about the admission process or Ursuline as a whole, or if you'd like to attend any of our other events, feel free to reach out to either of us. We'd be more than happy to connect with you and walk with you individually through any questions that you may have for us. So with that, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you at a future virtual event or visit us on campus. Have a great evening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.